And in just hours, lawyers will meet to set a date for his preliminary hearing. But Britton Follett has learned one woman says despite a call for help, the state could go to court without important information.
Last Friday, the state asked the public for help with the investigation into Kelsey's death. The district attorney says since then he's gotten 4 or 5 leads containing the specific information he's looking for. One woman says there are more people out there who won't come forward because they don't believe anyone's listening. Amy Tabor's husband held Kelsey moments before she died. That afternoon, he went to Mike and Ray Dawn's house to pick up some tires. He found Porter on the phone with 911. Amy's husband is on the state's witness list. Amy believes she should be too. When the district attorney asked the public to come forward with any information on Kelsey's case, she decided it was time to tell her story.
And everybody says that sweet little Ray Dawn couldn't have done it, but she has a temper.
The December Kelsey turned 2. Amy says she invited Porter and Ray Dawn to a party, where she says Ray Dawn got mad at Porter.
And the last time she came back, they went into the bathroom together, and we heard some scuffling, and when they came out, she told me she was sorry that she had pushed Mike into my wall, and I have a hole in my wall about this big.
Amy wants to tell the district attorney her story.
Whenever I called and tried to let them know what was going on, they just asked for my name and number and told me they'd get back to me. And I haven't heard anything back.
She says others have information too.
He asked for help, for anybody that knew anything, and if the people that do know something and call and don't get any response, why is anyone else even going to try?
Kelsey's family says the silence is nothing new. People didn't come forward when Kelsey was being abused, so it doesn't surprise them the silence continues.
Thank you all for coming. As parents, we have a legal and moral obligation to protect our children. When we fail to do that, society demands that we be held accountable. In light of that, I'm filing tomorrow morning 2 felony counts against Ray Dawn Porter in the case of Kelsey Briggs. I'm filing 1 count of enabling child abuse and 1 count of child neglect. The allegations are that Ray Dawn Porter either knew or should have known that the abuse was happening to Kelsey Briggs and that she failed or to prevent it from happening. Her arraignment will be tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in Lincoln County.
Can you tell us, you've had a grand jury. Is this information that came from the grand jury, or is it information that has been part of this investigation you've talked to us about?
I can't comment on the grand jury. I can tell you that this is a vast majority of this recent evidence has come from the recent plea that I made to the public. It has been very beneficial and has directly led to the filing of the charges.
Are you arresting Ray Dawn?
She will turn herself in tomorrow.
Why does she get 24 hours to turn herself in?
Because I haven't filed charges yet, and will not do that till tomorrow morning.
Is that uncommon for you to work something out with an attorney to turn someone in?
No, happens all the time.
Now, the charge of knowing, you're basically saying she knew the child was being abused by Mr. Porter?
Either she knew that he was abusing her, or she should have known that he was abusing her. And the law makes no distinction between whether you knew or should have known. If she truly didn't know, she missed a lot of red flags, and she should have known it was happening, and she should have known it was Michael Porter doing it.
And in the case of the child neglect, what led you to that charge?
Several witnesses, without getting too much into the evidence, several witnesses have given us some evidence that shows that she potentially drove while intoxicated or under the influence of alcohol while Kelsey was in the car during a period of 2003-2004. That's part of the basis for the child neglect.
What's the rest of it?
Inadequate supervision.
What does that mean?
I don't want to get into the evidence of that at this time.
Can you give me a general idea of lack of supervision means? I mean, just not watching a child?
Not without getting into the specific evidence.
At one point, I've been told you were considering murder one against Ray Dawn. What changed?
I've never told anybody as to what charges were being considered. I can tell you that the charges that we have filed both against Michael Porter and against Ray Dawn tomorrow morning, I believe, are adequate as to the level of culpability of each of these parties as the evidence shows right now.
So the allegations that you're putting forward in both sets of charges are that Michael Porter led to her death, but that Radon should have known there were things going on that could have potentially led to her death or to her injury.
I think the allegations are, as we present them today, that Michael Porter is directly responsible for the murder of Smith-Briggs. I believe that based upon the evidence and the charges that we're going to file, that Radon Porter should have known and could have prevented potentially some of the abuse, if not the death. But she could have prevented at least the abuse.
The people that came forward since your plea, could they have come forward a year ago or a year and a half ago and potentially saved the life of this child?
I don't know. I don't know.
Speculation?
I don't want to speculate on that.
Based on these charges, do you expect Radon will spend any jail time?
The judge tomorrow will set a bond. I don't know what that is. That's between her and the judge. I don't know whether she will be able to make bond or not. We have no deals with her at this point. I don't anticipate any negotiated deals with her at this time. So that will be up for either a judge or a jury to decide.
Do you expect her to testify against Porter?
I believe that she can do one of two things at this point, because this is truly a crossroads for her. She has been, and her family has been, cooperative with the investigation to this point. She has a choice to make, and I haven't discussed it with her. I don't know what choice she's going to make. She can either quit, cease cooperating at this point, and we'll go to trial with her on her charges, or she can do the right thing, continue cooperating with the investigation, and potentially a judge or a jury will take that into consideration.
Do you have enough against Porter without her?
Yes.
Are you looking at anyone else as far as enabling this child abuse?
I'll tell you the same thing I've said from the beginning. The investigation into any and all people responsible will ongo until the last lead is done. The investigation is still ongoing.
Okay. Can I ask you in particular about Dr. Kelli Koons?
I cannot comment on anything that happened before the grand jury.
Is this one of the more difficult cases you've had to handle evidence-wise or witness-wise or people-wise?
Because of the passions that are involved on both sides, from the Smith family or the Briggs family, it's been difficult to sift through the passions and get to the actual evidence and what the evidence will actually show. I believe we're pretty close to doing that. I believe that we've got the evidence to go now. So it's been difficult to this point, but it's coming together.
It's been difficult for you personally?
Anytime you have the death of a child, you can't help but get to know the family. You can't help but get to know what Kelsey's life was like, and it's incredibly painful.
Is there some sort of satisfaction today filing these charges? It's been a long time coming. There's been protests outside here.
I don't know that satisfaction is the right word. It's never satisfying to file. Quite honestly, it's never real satisfying to convict, especially since there's nothing that any of us could do to bring this child back.
You've seen the video of Kelsey trying to walk in full leg cast, covering 2 broken legs. In court, 2 doctors called the broken legs accidents. What you haven't heard is one of those doctors is related to Radon's attorney. Attorney Greg Wilson represented Kelsey's mom, Radon, and her stepfather, Mike Porter, in the custody battle against Kelsey's paternal grandparents. A grievance filed by Kelsey's paternal grandmother with the Bar Association says Mr. Wilson had his client use his own sister, Kelli Koons of Shawnee, as her pediatrician during this time.
They feel better?
The family tells us Dr. Koons saw Kelsey once before her legs were broken. In a report, Dr. Koons and another doctor felt the fracture on Kelsey's right leg was caused by walking on flip-flops and twisting her ankle, so she favored her left leg, causing another fracture. But 4 OU Medical Center doctors with a combined 90 years experience called the broken legs abuse. One says, "I've been practicing for 29 years and put casts on children day in and day out. I've never seen a child break the opposite leg because they're in a cast for one leg. It just doesn't happen. I've never seen it." Greg Wilson convinced the judge to send Kelsey home with Radon, where 4 months later, she was murdered. In the grievance, Kelsey's family says it is unethical and a conflict of interest for Wilson to use his sister in such a serious case.